works with companies like Google, Microsoft, and Capital One to eliminate the stigma of mental health and empowers people with tools for mental and emotional health. Please welcome the CEO of Champions Mental Health, Jewel Love.
I'm so glad to be here. You know what? Being able to join hands virtually with people from around the world, it's one of the best ways that we can come together and create community at this time. So, yes to never alone. Yes to always being connected. And when we talk about being connected, there are three things that I really want to share with you today. Not just about being in connection with those who are around us, but to our greatest purpose inside. Now, when we're talking about mental health, there's really three pieces that I want to share that can relate to your purpose and how that can help you have better mental and emotional health. So starting off with the first piece that comes to mind, it really has to do with something cultural. It could have to do with something very personal, which is what we call shadow work oftentimes. Woo, shadow work. Shadow work, if I could tell you just a bit about that, was actually spoken about by Carl Jung, student of Sigmund Freud, and they differed in agreement about a few different things. But one thing is that he mentioned there are parts of ourselves, parts of our psyche, and when we talk about our psyche, we're talking about the mental and emotional aspects of us, in some cases, the spiritual aspects of us. But the shadow is the part that's hidden to us. It's the part that we can't see, or in some cases, we don't want to see, that are going on for us. And I know when I went into therapy at that time to bring some vulnerability and some transparency, I was at a place in my life where I began questioning my sexual orientation. And this is something that there had been kind of little hints of it before in my life. However, at this time, you know, for me, it just started coming up, like even in my dreams. And I remember at a time, short story, I was with an ex of my time, and I was having these dreams and these homoerotic dreams. There's full transparency here. We're just talking about life. We're talking about never alone. We're talking about connection. We're talking about humanity. And I remember just nudging my girlfriend at the time next to me for her to wake up, because I knew I needed to tell her. It was important for her to know what was going on. Because for me, it was creating a sense of turmoil inside. Could you imagine just having this reality happening within and not sharing it with others? It can be crazy making. So woke her up, told her what was going on, was having these questions, and we ended up breaking up. And I know it's sad, but it was the right thing to do for me. And that's really how I got introduced to therapy. She introduced me to someone who introduced me to someone else who was a therapist. And it turned out to be the most transformative experience of my life, really being able to look into that part of me around sexual orientation. Up until then, just dated women. And at that point, started dating men and trans women, and ultimately found out that just wasn't ultimately it for me, and started dating women again. But that was something that was brewing inside of me that I needed to answer to. I needed to speak to. I needed to acknowledge and give some space to. And in that psychotherapeutic process, some other things that were in the dark for me started to come to light. Relationships with family members that had been very hurtful and harmful to me, and I needed a better way to relate to them and grieve them. My relationship just to my own manhood and masculinity is something I needed to shift my relationship with and embrace in full as I matured as a man. So going to therapy and really looking at the shadow parts of ourselves, the things that we hide, repress, deny, might not even be fully consciously aware of, and starting to heal them and gaining alignment with them, like a chiropractor brings alignment to the back, to the spine, so that we can stand up tall and have our energy flowing through our chi, flowing through our body, right? Our prana coming in and out through our breath in alignment. That alone can bring a level of clarity and, I would say, inner peace related to our mental health that can just be a game changer. It can really just be profound. But that's really only the first thing when we talk about shadow work and looking at the aspects of ourselves that we hide, that we repress, that we deny, maybe wounds from the past that have gone unhealed. Did you know that wounds from your past can affect you today? It's true. It's true. And clients will ask me, well, I'm a therapist, licensed therapist here in California, and clients will ask me, well, how's it really going to help to look at these things from the past when I'm hurting today? Can't we just focus on today? And I said, you know what? My hands are tied if we can only look at today, because things from the past affect you today. If you look at a tree that's been cut down and you see the rings, you can see year by year what happened during that year. Is it not part of the tree? Of course, it's a part of the tree. So I'm sharing with you that although we can't change the rings of the tree, we can't change your past, we can get clarity and acknowledge the emotional and mental impact of these challenging, in some cases traumatic experiences. Heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, painful, emotional experiences, and alleviate a lot of the emotionality surrounding it so that you can feel better today. But folks, this was just step one out of 3 pieces around purpose and aligning with your purpose today. So the next thing is really going to be about your passions, your gifts, your God-given, spirit-given, ancestrally given talents and gifts, wherever they come from. You have them, I have them, we all have them, be it a writer, a speaker, be it skills at nurturing or skills that I'm even thinking about just like physical skills that, maybe like firemen have, to really put that to use. But whatever it is for you, creative, artistic, or otherwise, maybe financial, intuitive, spiritual, you have unique gifts that you embody. Right or wrong, right? Classic sales question you hear in all the sales trainings. Right or wrong? They'll say something and they'll say right or wrong, right? They're trying to get you to typically lean into saying right, okay? I am trying to get you to lean in, or, I'm thinking you'll lean into the right as well here. That you have gifts, okay? You have gifts to give, and you are here to give them. So many people may be able to sing, but they're a little shy. May love to write, but are a little shy, okay? These things that give you life and really connect with others, that would be the second thing to lean into. And I know when I went to therapy, I was really encouraged to lean into my gifts as a singer and now as a psychotherapist and go back to school and do that. The last piece, folks, to round this all out, how purpose can improve your mental health and emotional well-being for sure. I know it's done it for me. When I went through these 3 steps, I went from a place of feeling lost, super lost, confused, very angry, to a place of many more joyful emotions, feelings, and feeling on point and on purpose. The last piece is, who do you want to touch with your message? Who do you want to speak to with your unique message? All right. So the first piece, going all the way back, it's going to be that shadow work. It's going to be the part of you that digs deep and look at some of those old wounds that are tough to really grapple with and do some deep soul-seeking, searching, and then acceptance of you, uniquely you. Not the spiritual tales, nor the fables, nor the favorite movie, nor the story of your best friend, but uniquely owning your own story, warts and all. Okay? The second piece, coming up around the creativity. What is a medium that you could use to begin expressing more of your story and your gifts to give? That's another piece that will help you come alive. And for people who don't do that, it can mess with them mentally and emotionally because they're not fully expressed in that way. A lot of times people think mental health is something that you are doing, something you're doing wrong maybe, right? And it produces this. Or they think of chemical imbalance as well. And both of those can be true. But in what I'm talking about now, it's something different. It may be something that you're not doing. That's something that if you got started would bring you a sense of relief and connection and a sense of peace within. These are your creative gifts that uniquely you have. And I see people when they sit on them and it brings them down in a certain way. So I'd say express those gifts. Number one, express yourself. Number two, express those gifts. And number three, figure out what type of people, who are your people that you want to reach out to in your community or online, or maybe it's lawyers or doctors or the African American community or mixed people or LGBT community or whoever it is for you. Really finding your community that you want to move and that you want to touch with your purpose-driven message, whatever that could be for you. It could even be in the realm of finances, right? Gifted, going inside, figuring out what are some of the roadblocks, healing those, accepting those, and then going out and sharing your gifts and your services with others. That trifecta level of alignment within can produce a profound level of mental health, resilience, emotional wholeness, well-being at the same time. So, 3-step process. A therapist can definitely help. I'm a therapist. Shout out to therapists. But it doesn't have to be. It can happen through journaling, reflecting, talking to a friend, your own kind of spiritual quest or fast or things of that nature. But that's the thing that I would like to share for you all, and never feeling alone. It's to connect within, to that voice within, that place within, that knows within, and having that connection with your own spirit and your own soul, your own ancestors, your own ashe, your own being for connection. And that can produce amazing mental health results. It has for me. It does for my clients. I hope that it can for you as well. If you're interested in learning more about me, please go to championsmentalhealth.com. I do a lot of corporate work mainly, but I'd be happy to. That's my people. That's my tribe who I focus on. But I'd be happy to speak with you as well on potential collaboration. I'm wishing you the very best, and yes, to never being alone.